Hello and welcome to another wonderful, beautiful episode of Movie Dissect. And I would really want to thank and appreciate everyone who has been visiting our page and liking, subscribing, and leaving comments. In fact, you've been leaving very funny comments, and we really appreciate the engagement that you've been giving us concerning the movie, our movie ratings. And please do not forget to leave your ratings also. Welcome back. And the movie that we are dissecting today is Salt. Like I said, Salt is a 2010 movie that starred Angelina Jolie, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Yara Shihadi, Corey Stoll, and Frank Hart. This was a CIA movie that talked about an agent that was being accused of being a double agent. Now, one thing I love about that movie is everything. Like everything. The storyline, the editing, in fact, part of the reasons I became a movie critic, part of the reasons I became a good movie watcher was because of Salt. So first thing was, Salt was one of the first movies I watched in a cinema. And the sound effects, the editing, the cuts, the camera movement. In fact, Salt was one of the first movies I had to go back to watch their behind the scenes. And that got me into loving movie filmmaking. And I could say that although I haven't made any movies, right? I haven't made any movies. I fell in love with the whole camera movement and how you could tell someone run on the spot, and while the person is running on the spot, a lot of other things can be done with film trick, as we know in Nigeria, to make the movies come out in a good way. Now, one thing that most people don't know, or fact about this movie, is that this movie wasn't actually written for Angelina Jolie. It was written for Tom Cruise. But Tom Cruise turned the movie down because he was trying to do Mission Impossible that year, right? And so the writers had to switch the movie from a male character to a female character. And the female character was Angelina Jolie. And then most of the stunts that were needed, like for example, her standing over the building, the high-rise building she was leaving, she was asked by the director to, for a body to do it. And she said no, that she was going to do it herself, and she did that herself. One other thing I have used Salt as a movie to do is criticize other movies. So when you tell me a movie's budget is this amount of money and the movie doesn't come out as good as Salt, I am angry because Salt got my attention. When we come back from a break, I would also tell you the truth about that movie. So we'll be rating Salt, and for the editing, I don't have a guest today, so I would be saying editing was awesome. So for editing, I would give editing 8 or 9. 9 because the transitions from each scene to another scene was always, I don't think there was ever a place where there was like a blackout. I think the only blackout was when she blew the church so that she could get access to the president of Russia. And when she did, the whole place was just smoky, dust smoky. That was just all. Then it went blank. I think that was like the only time there was a blank. The transition was always movement. So I would give it a 9, not an 8, a 9. Scripting I think whoever scripted the movie did a good job. Like I said, it was scripted with Tom Cruise in mind, but then when Tom Cruise refused the contract or turned the contract down, Angelina Jolie came in and they were able to swap the script into a new character and a new person, and that made it even more better. So for that, I would give it a 10. For setting, the CIA location, in fact, for every location they chose in that movie, it was awesome. I will give it an 8. Characterization, the casts were picked perfectly well. Chiwetel did his role well as Peabody. He played Peabody, and he played that role very well. So for characterization, I would give it a 9. For sound and effect, like I said, I watched it, my first time watching it was in a cinema, and I was able to get, it was the first movie I ever watched in a cinema, so it drew my love for sound and effect. Every bullet that came out, every glass that was shattered, you could hear that sound. So I would give it a 10. For costumes, the very serious costumes, it was just a normal suit, tie, casuals. It was perfect. So I would give that a 10 too. For dialogue for me would be a 10 because just because of time, there's some scenes I can actually say or mimic because I have watched it so much. I love the part where Peabody told Ted, "You, my friend, have a mole in your department." So what he was trying to tell him that Jankov or Evelyn Salt was a mole, and Ted replied him that you don't know about that yet. And that particular scene captured so much of dialogue for me. So I would give dialogue a 10. For cultural impact, for directing is a 10 for me. And the reason why I'm giving it a 10, it was directed by Philip Noyce, and that director actually did a very good job. Cultural impact, was there really a cultural impact? I would say yes, because for people like me who are so curious with the US government and their CIA, Secret Service kind of a thing, I think it opened our eyes to understanding other movies that we had to watch, like Designated Survivor, How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal, 24. It just opened our minds to most of the things we had seen that we really didn't understand. So I would say the cultural impact for people like me would be like 7 or 8. And then camera movement, like I said, was excellent. The director, Philip Noyce, did a very good job. You could see how the cameras could transit from one camera to another. That was so awesome. And finally, the box office for this movie, the budget for this movie was $110 million US. $110 million US. Guess what? How much the movie made? The movie made 293.5. Like 293.5. That's almost $294 million for the movie. So I think Salt is one good movie that we could always use to rate other movies. Total, I'm giving Salt 100. If there was anything more than 100, that's what I would give Salt. Like I said, I use Salt to grade other movies. Like, for example, if a Nigerian movie comes out, yes, a Nigerian movie. If a Nigerian movie comes out and I hear that the budget is like millions, I first go and bring Salt. That is a 2010 movie. And I'm like, okay, did they do this in this movie? No. Did they do that in that movie? No. You are not watch that movie. So if you are just joining us, this is Movie Dissect. And thank you for joining. We dissected Salt today. Please stay tuned for another episode and don't miss it. Don't forget to like, share, leave a comment, and leave your own rating of salt, and also subscribe. Till I see you again, I remain your wonderful host, Vicar Hikodi Godwins.